and they have war planned in 2012 or somewhere along in that area. And he even told me where it was going to start, how it was going to happen, what would happen. It would spread through the entire world, and every bit of this is okay. I'll elaborate more on point after point as Alex wants it. We must take action immediately. Get this DVD by Alex Jones. Please get out millions of copies of it. Do you realize that we've got 2 years? They have it planned. He gave me the figure, 2 years, over and over and over. You have 2 years, or your children and grandchildren will be slaves. As Alex said a moment ago, he heard somebody who was one of the rich people that said, we're leaving America. He said, you won't know America in 2 years' time. This is exactly what this gentleman said to me. He said, within 2 years, you will not recognize the United States of America. Now, if I could put it in everyday terms so that even I could understand it, the elite are laughing at the gullible, stupid American who has fallen for every line that they've put out there for you. You've taken that baseball apple pie and beer, you've run with it, and you're satisfied to take their job just over broke and accept what they have given you, and you have not risen up and rebelled. You've got to do something, folks. Now, please, I beg of you. All right, here we go. Within 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the federal government. Did you hear this? He said this. He said, almost everyone will be working for the federal government. Think about it for a moment. General Motors, they were about to go bankrupt. So who stepped in and bailed them out? The federal government. Who is the CEO of General Motors right now? The President of the United States of America. Who's the CEO of Chrysler? Everybody who works for General Motors or Chrysler is working for the federal government right now. How about the banks? They're taking them over 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 almost every weekend. Do you realize that they want to narrow it down to 9? Come on, you got here's the figure. Put it down, write it down, and watch it happen. They're going to narrow it down to 9 major banks. Then they'll be able to bail out, and they already have, bail out the ones that are left.
Stay right there. Vertical integration of the economy, criminal consolidation, the globalist IMF World Bank G20 documents say as much as your source told you. We're going to continue to go through this, and then information we didn't get to yesterday, that's coming up. We're just recapping right now with Lindsey Williams. The illusion created. Lindsey Williams is our guest. Okay, Lindsey, continue. You were going through this former CEO of a major oil company, an insider who you've worked with. People say, well, why don't you give us his name? I deal with that with sources all the time. That's journalism 101, is that if you ever give up your sources, before a whistleblower gives you info, they go look and see if you've ever given up sources. So when I get a Department of Homeland Security internal document saying all veterans, gun owners, conservatives are their number one enemy, libertarians, when I first broke that and the MIAC report, people said, oh, it's not real. They called the phone numbers on it, and they said, no, this is real. Where'd you get it? And for 2 days, people didn't believe it was real. The national news picked it up. We can't give you our sources. A lot of times we have sources on the air, whistleblowers, you name it, if they want to go public. But we'll talk about why Lindsey thinks this guy's talking to him, but keep running through it all, then we'll go back through it and get blow by blow through what he told you. Go ahead, Lindsey Williams.
Well, 2 years ago, Alex, when this gentleman called me, and you'll remember that he threatened me. And he said, Chaplain, you're saying some things that you can't say anymore. And he said, if you don't quit saying this and this and this, we are going to do this, this, and this. I had not talked to the man in 25 years. I think it's satisfactory to say that after he and I agreed to agree, and he said the price of, and then I said, by the way, how's your family? Where have you been living? What are you doing? And he told me these things. He became friendly to me. And at that point, he said the price of crude oil is going from $147 to $50 a barrel. I think the mere fact of his credibility and saying that 3 months later, it took place exactly like he said. Even people in Wall Street said, you're crazy. It can't happen. It'll impact the world too much. But the mere fact of what this man said back then, you better believe what he's saying today, too. It's going to take place exactly like he said it. And when he said to me, war will take place after 2 years. Now, get his words well. War will take place after 2 years. It reminded me so much, Alex, of Major General Smedley Butler, who wrote the famous book. I mean, Eisenhower said that he said, I'm nothing compared to this Smedley Butler. He said he is a man amongst men. President Eisenhower said that about him. And Smedley Butler wrote in his book, he said, war is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. And that's the first thing that came to my mind was what Smedley Butler had said when this man said, war will break out in approximately 2 years. It will begin in the Middle East. It will spread to the entire world. People, we have a maximum of 2 years. And if Alex and the others out there like him have not turned this country around in 2 years, folks, if you have not risen up and rebelled against the tyrants within 2 years, and I'm quite sure you remember what was said by one of the great men of America in past years. He said, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. That was Thomas Jefferson, one of the writers and founders of this country. And if we haven't risen up successfully in 2 years' time and turned this thing around, our republic is gone.
Let me just add something about Smedley Butler. Two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner, took over all these different nations for the globalists, and then they came to him in the mid-30s and said, we want to have a coup. We're going to link up with Hitler. We want you to lead 500,000-man army to take over the U.S. He played along till he could go to the McCormick-Dickstein Committee and blow the whistle. That's mainline history, but it's not widely known and not widely taught, but it is mainline history. And Butler finally woke up, like a lot of people in the Pentagon, like Fox Fallon, who was a big globalist. When they finally told the brass a few years ago, we're going to overthrow America, a lot of generals quit and left and are refusing. So there are a lot of aces in the hole out there, like Smedley Butler still. A lot of people we think are our friends are going to turn out not being our friends. A lot of people we didn't think were our friends are going to end up being our friends. And I just wanted to add that about Smedley Butler. And the Rand Corporation documents and others have stated that they do plan to stage a new war to help build their new world order, because a war will unify the people around the governments to follow their orders. Go ahead, Lindsey Williams.
Well, you're exactly right. And they will unite everything together, using this as the final straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Because after they've been escalated inflation over a 2-year period, after they basically have buried the dollar, because now OPEC's not going to use it anymore, they're going to use a basket.
And then if you
currencies.
protest, they're going to use the Enemy Sedition Act saying, we're at war, you can't protest the carbon tax and the citizen tattletales, and they'll stage terror attacks and say the foreigners are doing it. This is their plan.
Yes, that's exactly their plan. And everything that you have said, Alex, is true. Oh, my goodness. I wish I could open up the mind of every one of your audience out there and put into them what you are saying is true, folks. This is not just some alarmist out here. These are facts, and this gentleman just days ago backed up everything that you are saying, Alex. It's so amazing how that he basically said exactly what you said. But then I noticed on yesterday that something really kind of caught your ear. It was the expression that this man used, devil's Messiah. And by the way, we've had a number of phone calls to come into our 800 service or our toll-free service, and they are fascinated with the idea that this man would use such an expression as devil's Messiah.
Well, give us the data dump. Tell us specifically what he said. You've got the floor. Tell us.
Yeah, let me clarify just a little bit. He's not talking about a man. He's not talking about the Antichrist. No, I'm not one of those people at all. This isn't what this man was talking about. This man was talking about a system, a spirit of deception that they have used over a period of years, and he went back and gave some things that I was appalled that he would give. In fact, I'm even wondering where this man that gave me this information, if maybe he hasn't had some change of heart as far as his...
Well, specifically, word for word, tell us what he said.
Yeah, he said that the elite have taken away America's God. Now, here's what I did. I went back, and I have it right here in my hand right now, the first textbook. I mean, this is how far this man went back and started enumerating. The first textbook ever used by a school in the United States of America was the original McGuffey's Reader. And the McGuffey Reader was written, and the first schools in America that were ever held were established for the purpose of teaching people how to read, teaching them how to read so that they could read the Bible. And listen to just one section here out of the McGuffey Reader. And this is the first textbook, by the way, of the American school. I wish we had it back again today. It says, "Oh, my God, do not allow me to sin. Help me to do as I was told." This is on page 54 of the original McGuffey Reader.